Hello, welcome to this update. Let's see what's happening to the tropics and parts of the Eastern Pacific, the Atlantic. The Atlantic is still very quiet, nothing too crazy, just a few showers. But in the Pacific, we already have some stuff to watch. The first area of the season, spots of the Eastern Pacific. So let's see first what's going on. So an area of low pressure could form by this weekend and early next week, several hundred miles south of the southern coast of Mexico. Conditions appear favorable for some development of the system. Thereafter, it moves west to west northwest with around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So just 20% chance of development next 7 days in the Eastern Pacific. So we'll take a look of what the models are showing for this. And let's see the short range forecast here for the Caribbean with this shower. So still shows those showers and thunderstorms Central America, some spots of Panama, Costa Rica, even Honduras throughout this week. Mexico has more shower thunderstorm activity this week, especially western, southern Mexico, and central Mexico, including Mexico City. So be aware, some more showers this weekend, a few thunderstorms southern Mexico. Then that shows potentially some heavier rain in Nicaragua and Costa Rica later into next week. So we'll keep watching, and let's see here what the models are showing. So this the European ensemble shows there in the Eastern Pacific. It does have a lot of support now. Spots of the Eastern Pacific is kind of spread out. Some are closer to Mexico and others are further out. But generally across this area, there's a lot of support for at least a tropical storm to form next week. So we'll keep watching. There's the GFS. There's a lot of support as well. And some of the GFS are going further north into Mexico. Some are going out to sea and some are approaching land. So we'll watch this long range in case something tries to go into Mexico. But right now, what we know, it might try to form next week, and still hard to predict where it will go. But we'll keep watching. So there's here like the images it shows. Let's see if this is, yeah, I think this is it. No, it's a different storm because it's an invest, and this is not an invest yet. It's just a potential error. So an invest is when we have that X marked and there's no X. So that's good for you to know as well. So here, let's just see some rain accumulation before we check the other models. So 5 days here does show this potential heavy rain, spots of southern Nicaragua into Costa Rica, like more than 100 millimeters until Sunday. But if we put until Saturday, shows like only 27 millimeters, not like 47. So this heavy rain might come between Saturday and Sunday next week. So better watch for these spots of Costa Rica, some heavy showers in the highlands. There's like the GFS is even crazier. It shows like up to 200 millimeters in Nicaragua next week, like 211. And until Saturday, already shows 100, but between Saturday and Sunday, more than 200. So sometimes it exaggerates, but better just keep watching. There's the icon, shows very little, just some near the coast, southern Nicaragua. So most models are hinting at a lot of rain in those areas later next week into this weekend especially. So be aware there. Let's just say something very quick here in Spanish. Entonces, esta semana del día 20 de mayo y hasta día 25 algo, muestra más lluvias y tormentas centro de México y también en la Ciudad de México y más zonas de 50 milímetros, unas zonas de más de 75 milímetros, más unas tormentas más al norte y otras zonas así en América Central muy fuerte, en Nicaragua y un poco en Guatemala y Honduras, algunas tormentas. So stay safe. Be aware, and as I said there, it does show some spots slightly heavier spots of Mexico and other spots less, so be aware. The Eastern Caribbean still shows some light showers and spots there, some 18 millimeters, Puerto Rico 16, slightly more spots of haze, 23 millimeters, 17, nothing crazy. The GFS slightly more, 31 millimeters, and the icon does show very little. but both show a little bit more in Cuba. Like the GFS is 57 and the Europeans like 9. So yeah, it's a big difference. But be aware, might be some in southern Florida too, especially the GFS has slightly more. So be aware. And we had recently our first like official tropical wave of the season, spots of the Eastern Atlantic that came off of Africa. This won't develop into anything. It's very, the conditions are not good out and it's too close to the equator too. But it's interesting to know our first wave of the season, around 60 to 69 appear each season on average. So be careful, not be careful, it's the middle of the ocean, it won't do anything, but be careful with these showers and thunderstorm spots Central America and in other areas, especially now that the satellite already shows some there. So be aware now. Let's see what the model show for this around the Eastern Pacific. So there's regions here, Eastern Pacific. So there's the GFS. The GFS is the one that's most intensifying this in terms of model runs. So it does show this goes around the 27th, next Tuesday. It gets a Category 1 hurricane and does turn into a lot like a Cat 2 or something, Cat 3. And then it goes. I think the GFS is too strong with this, but we'll keep watching. Around June 2nd, it does have another one that goes into Mexico. But those ones far out, I don't trust much. But let's see. There's the European too, shows some moisture there. Shows like a slight low pressure further east, further west, but nothing too crazy. But later does show this area trying to develop next Thursday on the 29th. So this is kind of more than a week away. But it does show a tropical storm or something possible, and then it goes away there. So it's still very weak, the European, but worth watching. There's the Canadian around 0Z, shows like a lot of moisture in a few spots. It does try to get something like to 1005 or something, but it's also weak. So mainly the GFS is giving the big showdown. But there's the icon too. This goes, I don't think the icon goes far out enough, but it already shows something trying to get stronger around the 27th, next Tuesday. So we'll keep watching those areas. Be aware. There's here like, let's see if it shows something else there. So we do have in those areas, there's some sea surface temperatures, the Eastern Pacific, slightly warmer, already to 30 degrees, many spots the Eastern Pacific. Further north, it's colder, like near Baja California, even to like 20 degrees. But this main tropical area here is very, very warm, so good for development. But we'll keep watching. There's like, let's see if it shows some wind here. So this goes, it shows it trying to form there. It doesn't show much shear, just show further north into Mexico and the US a lot of shear. But then this might be in a good environment, so we'll keep watching. For now, no threat to land, just if it decides to turn to land later, like the GFS showed on those ensembles there. But it's still a week out, so we can't know that much. But be aware in those areas just in case. There's for the rain again. I already showed you, but let's see further north now into Guatemala and Mexico. The GFS does have some 73 millimeters. If you zoom in, it does show more if you come in close. So it does show even to 99 in Guatemala. Between Mexico and Guatemala, some heavy rain, some of those mountains still in those areas, and spots southern Mexico has even to like 114 on the GFS. So better watch those areas just in case. The icon is interesting, Mexico. The icon shows like until next Sunday more than 100 meters just west of Mexico City. So better watch that. Some other spots to 100 in central Mexico, more storms, but it's until Sunday. If I put until Friday, alright, it goes down a lot, so just 15 millimeters. And yeah, but this weekend might be heavy there, so be aware. But it depends a lot. This might change too. And some lighter showers in the Yucatan, northern Bahamas, a thing or two, and Bermuda still shows slightly heavier in some spots with some fronts there. Long range, I know this is like 12 days out, but does show some heavy rain into southern Central America and like into Mexico, long range. But just something to watch, nothing to worry about. But be careful those storms if you're there. So stay safe. And we are watching here some potential tropical waves. Nothing nothing of concern, but just taking a look at, there's like the GFS shows it's relatively calm in the Caribbean, except for that wave in Nicaragua that will bring that heavy rain this weekend. But this goes, and like in the Eastern Pacific, the potential system. But it does show around June 1st in the Central Caribbean near Jamaica and those areas, a blob of moisture, more moisture possible. And then this goes, the GFS is combining that with the moisture, the severe weather later on. But just interesting to see, because yesterday's run showed more like that moisture around June 1st, and it did kind of try to put a low pressure around 0C and bring a lot of rain. But this is still like very long range, June 5th, so better not worry about this at all, because it's very far. But just watching, there's the European shows there. It doesn't show much, but it does show around June 3rd, slightly more moisture, so we might have some heavy rain in some spots there by the start of June in Central Caribbean. So just something to watch, but nothing too crazy. So there's here those temperatures still are worth talking about as well. Still shows today some valleys in Mexico as high as 43 degrees, still in those areas, 42, 43 degrees Celsius, so please be careful, even to 41 the Yucatan. In Central America it's better, just in Costa Rica, like in the mountains, slightly less, in Guatemala, but does show very hot northwestern Mexico too. Spots of Cuba are at to 34 degrees, so slightly hotter too, and the rest is kind of fine. So this goes during the night slightly less in Mexico's, down to 10 degrees or even less in some areas. This goal still shows Wednesday afternoon, tomorrow to 40 degrees in the Yucatan, so like very hot there. Be careful, some other spots of southern Mexico, very hot as well, like throughout western Mexico, close to 40 degrees, even to 41 further north. This goes does show the mountains in Guatemala, a few spots to 11, 10 degrees, depending on the elevation, might be even less. And be aware. So Mexico City too, and those mountains in Mexico slightly less. But there's this heat wave building around northwestern Mexico into the southwestern US, like to 41 degrees. Spots western Mexico, 41, 40, and the feels like temperatures might be higher too. So be careful, some 39 degrees, still to 40, 39 the Yucatan, more spots around Guatemala, northern Mexico. So stay safe. Further south it's better, but still some 30s. So Thursday still shows Thursday, Friday slightly colder in the mountains in Mexico, in the higher terrain there. So this goes does show like by Friday afternoon still close to 39, 38 in the Yucatan, and then back north, the dust shows still hot in the Baja, but not as hot as Thursday and Wednesday, but still shows to 40 degrees. So stay safe, and right in the northernmost part of Mexico, some 37, 39. So be aware in those areas too. Shows Friday here, Saturday slightly colder in the mountains. This goes and just continues like this, still close to 40 in a few spots by next weekend. In northern Mexico, even to 42 maybe in a few spots. So be aware, no crazy changes, but just beware of the heat. And that's showing Cuba on the 28th, a week from now, even to 37 Central Eastern Cuba. So that's something to watch as well. So be aware in those areas, and yeah, nothing too crazy, but be careful. There's like here, the Eastern Caribbean, the GFS does have 5 days, some rain, some showers, the Eastern Caribbean, a few thunderstorms, but down in Trinidad and Tobago, the GFS is all the way to 52 millimeters, like 49, 52. So be careful in those areas. And in the next 9 days, it even has 100 there in those areas of South America, like very, very high, even to 200 in South America, so be careful. But it does have a lot in Trinidad. The European next 10 days just has 65 in Trinidad and the worst in South America, so please be careful in those areas. We might have a South America video later this week in Spanish, so if you're interested, check that as well. But next 10 days in the Caribbean does show some sides of the islands slightly wetter too, so be aware in those areas and stay safe. The main things here to focus on are the storms in Central America, Mexico, the heavy rain later in Nicaragua and Costa Rica, the extreme heat, and the potential system in the Eastern Pacific. So be careful in those areas. Let's just see wind because it's worth it. So shows like today's Tuesday into Wednesday shows some more wind in Central Caribbean, a few spots, nothing too crazy, but then it does speed up a little bit, even to 70 km per gust. It does show slightly more wind near Venezuela or northern Colombia, maybe some small craft warnings, but nothing too crazy. Nicaragua shows like some slightly higher western Nicaragua in a few spots. This goes maybe showing still by next Tuesday, still more wind Central Caribbean, and then yeah, and even later to the end of the month in the Eastern Caribbean. So we'll keep watching. Nothing too crazy, just be aware with your like local forecasts in case of small craft advisories or something. So be aware, and maybe even dust advisories if there's something. There's not much dust, just like very light dust in spots of the Caribbean and the Eastern Caribbean. But let's see. Now like Tuesday it's more focused around the spots of the Eastern Caribbean. It's not too heavy, but there's some dust. And then this goes further west and might approach South America too. Friday, Saturday, that does show still a little bit of dust. Nothing crazy, just be aware and stay safe. Let's just see if there's something around northern Mexico. There's not any crazy wind. There's just a few spots today, slightly gustier in a spot or two, but like nothing too crazy. Thursday does show like Thursday afternoon, a few spots in northernmost Mexico, maybe slightly gustier, and then later Saturday, a few spots maybe, and this goes. But just be aware, like the next Tuesday shows more, and if there's more wind and stuff, be careful with fire danger in those areas, northern Mexico. So stay safe, be careful, and if you're looking to see about the severe weather, there are more videos coming now. Stay safe.